You're listening to the Master Passive Income Podcast Network. Welcome to the Master Passive Income Show. This is Dustin Heiner, and I'm here to help you create wealth, afford anything you want in life by investing in real estate and achieve financial freedom. And in today's show, we're going to be talking all about the steps that you need to take in order to become wealthy and rich by investing in real estate so you have financial freedom, you have the ability to buy whatever you want, and live the dream life. All right, let's start the show.
Welcome to the Master Passive Income Podcast, where we talk about investing in real estate with a special focus on making enough money so you can quit your job and live the dream life. And now, here's your host, Dustin Heiner.
What's up? What's up? Super blessed as always to have you here with me on the show. Now, I am super excited about a number of different things, as always. You know, I'm always excited about all the things that we're doing here at Master Passive Income, but at the same time in my life, there's so many things that are changing in my life personally. Well, we just had a baby back in May. We had our fifth child. Go back and listen to past episodes. I talk about it. Super, literally, not just a blessing, more than a blessing as well as a miracle. This baby is. So she's about 4.5 months old now. And now she's old enough to where we can finally move to Tennessee. Now, we live in Phoenix right now. My wife's from Phoenix. I'm from California. We got married. She came out and lived with me for about 10 years. In California. Then we moved out to be closer to her family here in Arizona. Been here 7 years, and I don't know if it's everybody's like this, but for some reason I've noticed this in my life. It seems like every 7 years God has me, like something big happen just in my life. And this has been 7 years of living here in Phoenix, and now I literally am feeling like the direct pull, or like the calling to move to Tennessee. And so we are literally packing up our property. And if you guys remember, back in June, end of May, beginning of June, I bought an Airbnb in Tennessee. It's a fantastic, phenomenal home, doing so well, making money. But I bought this property as an investment property that I will eventually move into. And now, at the end of the month in October, we're literally moving into this property. And the reason why I did this was I wanted to test out to see if this is going to be an area of the country that I really want to live. I've never lived on the East Coast, been more West Coast person, California and Arizona. But I thought, okay, let's test out to see if I really like the area, or, me and my family, if we really like the area, but I don't want to go and rent. And I don't want to buy a big, big house and think this is going to be there forever house, because I don't even know if I'm going to like it. So I decided to buy an investment property. Well, it is a property that's an Airbnb, doing great. And we're going to move into it, live into it maybe about a year. And then when we move out, if we move back to the West Coast, then we move out back to the West Coast. Or let's say we really enjoy it and we find land, we build. Well, eventually we'll leave this property that we're moving into, this Airbnb, back to an Airbnb. That's what we'll do. And the great thing too, if you follow this process, just like I'm doing, never sell a house. Like literally, once you own it, never sell it. So the house that we have here in Phoenix, it's literally paid off free and clear. Well, I will say, I do have a home equity line of credit, $250,000 equity line just sitting there ready, and it's capital that I can access at any time to buy the next property. It's called access to capital. So I have this property. We're going to rent it out medium term. That's not short term, but medium term, people staying over 30 days, 60, 90 days. And it's going to be the winter time. We have so many snowbirds, people coming from the north, flying down, driving down, whatever, and staying in Arizona for 3, 5, 6 months, or however long while it's freezing up where they're from. And we're going to have this place fully furnished so they can come and rent it. And as that kind of wraps up at the end of, let's say, April, they start going back. Well, there are so many traveling nurses and executives that need a place to stay. But here's what's really, really interesting. Because prices of homes are so expensive, because rents are so expensive, this is what's happening now. Things are going in an amazing, different direction than I ever thought it was going to be. Now, because people can't afford homes, people are getting used to co-living or splitting a place up, like renting out a room. They still have the living room, the kitchen, and they, separate their food and all that sort of stuff. But I'm going to rent it out per room to traveling nurses, traveling executives, because, well, back in 2020 with COVID, nurses were getting paid a ton of money. They could afford, $3,500 in rent for 1 month. Well, now they're not getting that much. Their stipend or whatever whatever it's called that they get money for is like $1,200 to maybe $1,600. Well, they can't afford a $3,500, $4,000 a month property, but they can afford a $1,500 a month room. Well, this is a 3-bedroom house, decent size, maybe 1,300 square feet. We're leaving it as a midterm rental. And like I said, if you own a house, never sell it because you always make more and more money, and real estate doubles in value every 15 years. It's just amazing. So I have 3 rooms. Now the master will probably rent out for $1,500, maybe $1,600 a month. And the other 2 bedrooms, we'll probably rent those for $1,200 or $1,300. So if we do easy math, 2 smaller bedrooms, $1,200, that's $2,400. That's more than I would get if I long-term rented this. And if I have $1,500 for the master, that is $3,900 that we'll be making on our property. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. The cookie cutter type homes I've always told you about. This is amazing. I even found a property manager that specializes in midterm and traveling nurses. He finds them on furnishedfinder.com. Great website that has a lot of people looking for properties to stay. So this is what I'm literally doing right now. We're packing up our house. It's kind of crazy how much stuff 7 people can have. Like me and my wife, our 4 kids, and our newborn. That's 7 of us. We have lots and lots of stuff. I'm like, oh my goodness, this house isn't that big, but we're getting those containers. Pack Rat, I think, is the company that I'm using. So they drop off a container, pretty remarkable system. The truck lowers it, and it's pretty awesome. But we filled it up, and then we have another 8-foot container, like a 16-foot container filled. Then we're gonna get another 8-foot container, probably get close to filling that one too, but then shipping that all the way across to Tennessee. And then I'm gonna be driving 1,700 miles from Phoenix all the way to Tennessee. Now here's the fun thing. So we started the Real Estate Wealth Builders Club. I'm going to do a little quick switch on you, and you'll get the point in just a second. But we start the room clubs, the Real Estate Wealth Builders Clubs. We started the first one in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's going tremendously well. And here's the fun thing. We're going to start 2 more really soon. The first one's going to be in Denver, and the second one is going to be back in Phoenix. Now, here's the funny thing. I've lived in Phoenix 7 years, and November, a month, maybe even 3 weeks after I drive and move my entire family, that's when we're going to have our first meetup here in Phoenix for the Room Club. So I got to fly back. I've lived here for 7 years, and now I got to fly back to speak at the first Room Club. But in Denver, it's going to be in January when we're going to start up the Room Club in Denver. And so, Lord willing, we're going to have Room Clubs in every major city as best as we can, as long as we find great people that are going to be able to run these things. And so that is so much great things going on right now for me, trying to give you a glimpse of what you can potentially do with your investing, like your life. Like if you wanted to live someplace, well, you can do that if you have income, cash flow, if you have money coming in from your properties. I do not have to tell my boss that I'm going on vacation. I don't have to quit my job and find another job if I'm moving across country. I literally don't do much work at all. I have experts do all the work, and I can live anywhere in the world. Now, we're choosing Tennessee. If you want to live in Hawaii, you can do that. If you want to live in Alaska, right? You name it. Wherever you want to live, you can do that because you're making cash flow and passive income. And that's what we're going to be talking about, or this gets into what we're talking about today, creating wealth. Creating wealth for yourself and for your family to provide for them. And there are some steps that you have to take. Now, there are ways to, let's say, jump over, let's say step number 4 or step number 6 or whatever it might be. There are some steps that you can jump over, but I would not suggest that you do it. It makes it harder. It makes the entire process harder because everything is like a foundation of a house. Then you build on top of that foundation, and then you build on top of it, and then you frame it out, and then you do everything to build a house. And there's layers to it. Just like the investor roadmap that we have, the master passive income roadmap that I laid out, I think it was about a month ago, where the roadmap is you start just like playing Monopoly, where you do small deals. Then you do a little smaller or bigger deals, not big deals, but bigger deals. Then you do medium-sized deals. That could be small multifamily, 3 to 4 units. Then you do medium-sized, bigger deals that are maybe 5 to 10 units, 12 units. And then we get into large deals. And this is just the step-by-step process that we need to do in order to become wealthy, to win the game of Monopoly in real life. And that is what I'm talking to you about today, is the steps and the process to become wealthy overall. Because in the end, if I want you to get anything out of this podcast, out of anything that I teach you, let's say the YouTube channel, or if you follow me on Instagram, if you want to find me on Instagram, the Dustin Heiner. And no, I'm not that arrogant to be the Dustin Heiner. It's the only handle I could really come up with. Everything else was taken. And so I, on there, give away so much stuff because in the end, when you become financially free, your life is better, and hopefully you can turn around and start serving more people. That's my calling, or I guess mission in life, is to help 1 million people to invest in real estate. And I know you are one of them because you come back every single week and listen. Now, this leads me into sharing with you the steps to become wealthy. And I want to pause for a quick second and share that honestly, I really want you to invest in real estate. Now, my new goal is to help 1 million people invest in real estate. So 2 things I would ask from you. Number 1, if you get anything out of this episode, please share it with somebody else. Just say, hey, check out Dustin and Master Passive Income. He really wants to help 1 million people to invest in real estate. That's number 1. Number 2, I want to get you to invest in real estate. Get my real estate investing course absolutely for free. Text the word rental, RENTAL, to 33777. Rental to 33777. I'll literally give you my course, show you how to find an area of the country to invest, how to build the business first. I always talk about that, and how to find the right properties, how to make sure you're getting experts to do the work for you, and scale the business to where you're making $250 or more in passive income. Scale it up to quit your job. I'll literally get to you, or go to masterpassiveincome.com/free course. Obviously, it'll be in the description, but I really, really want you to invest in real estate, because the more that actual, normal, everyday people own real estate that are good landlords, the better everybody's life gets. Here's the greatest thing about being wealthy. You obviously don't need to worry about your bills anymore. You don't need to worry about any money. You don't need to worry about your time being wasted working for a job. You have complete control over your life. Now, these principles, these steps that I'm going to give you, are the things that you're going to need to do and implement into your life so that you can live like the rich. Now, as I said in the intro, a lot of the rich people, like the millionaires, they are not the fancy, flamboyant, showy people. They could be, a person 3 doors down from you that literally has $1 million in the bank that drives an old truck because he or she doesn't need anything else than just that. So the average millionaire is very, very nonchalant about their money. They're not going to be flashing. They don't care what other people think. They take care of the things because they know these principles, these 8 steps. Now, there's a reason why the majority of the people in the world are poor. It's because they're really not taught to be rich. What's sad is our school system teaches us to be employees, which gives us a job. If you know, I've said many times, job is J-O-B, just over broke. The poor people do not know these principles or these steps that the rich already know and that they teach their kids. I am literally teaching my kids every single one of these steps. So I want you to know these steps so that you can be rich. I want you not just to be rich, but wealthy so that you can pass these things down, not just the money or the properties, but you can pass down the mindset. It's said, there's a great saying that you don't want to give a person a fish. You want to teach them how to fish so that they can feed themselves for years. And this is what I want to do for you. I want to give you the steps to become wealthy and rich so that you don't have to worry about ever working a job again. With these principles, I have really been able to build a real estate business that is so successful and automatic and creates massive amounts of wealth for me and is passive income. Now, I want to give these to you. Now, let me give you the very, very first one. Above and beyond all of them, this is where you start. Remember, these are 8 steps. You want to build on one after another. The first step is pay yourself first. Now, hopefully you've heard this before, and hopefully you're already implementing this into your life. But the rich know this, that paying yourself first is not, hey, I got a paycheck and that's all my money. Well, it's not your money because you already have either rent that's going to be due, or a mortgage, or you have credit card debt, or you have to pay the gas bill for your house. You have to pay for the garbage and the sewer. You have so much money that's already going out of your pocket. Even though the money is going into your pocket, it's flowing right back out and it's going to other people's pocket. So paying yourself first is giving yourself 10% off of the top of your income that goes in your pocket to save for future investing, not to buy fancy things or even some new thing or to buy anything. You're saving it so that you can make money for yourself. Now, let me give you a really practical example. Let's say you make $4,000 a month. Well, scratch that. Not everybody makes $4,000. Let's say you make $2,000 a month. If you make $2,000 a month, more than likely a lot of that money, if you have a job, you're just over broke. And so you barely have enough money to save anything. Well, what you need to do is figure out a way to pay yourself first 10% of that money. So cut out Starbucks, cut out buying cigarettes, cut out, maybe this extra trip out to McDonald's or whatever it is you might do. So what you want to do is cut back so that you can save 10%. Now, 10% of $2,000 is $200. You want to save $200 every single month and put it away, and don't touch it to spend it on anything else other than an investment property. So the longer you save every single month, you save 10%. The next month you save 10 more percent. You get a raise, you still save 10% with including, instead of $2,000, you're making $2,500. So you put away $250 a month. So every single month, you're putting away 10%. Even as your wealth grows, you're going to continue giving 10% to yourself. Now, over time, your bank account will just get bigger and bigger. And then you don't want to spend that on trinkets or anything like that. You want to buy a rental property with that, and that is going to make you even more money. Now, I know this is not fancy. A lot of people say, well, I want to hear some new scheme to get a property or to make money. Well, hey, to get wealthy, you need to actually put in the hard work. The hard work is being diligent and paying yourself first. So remember, whatever you're making right now, that's the top, gross, like not how much goes in your pocket net after taxes and Social Security, Medicare, and all that sort of stuff. Whatever is coming from your business, your job, or whatever, the top amount. So if you take home $2,000, but you make $2,500, put in $2,500. Just because they take out taxes doesn't mean you could skimp on your savings. So I'm telling you, pay yourself first. And the reason why I'm taking a little more time on pay yourself first is because this is one of the most important things that you can do to build true, actual wealth. It also changes your mindset so that instead of being where you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're being proactive and thinking, I'm living for my future, where I'm sacrificing a little bit now so that in 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, I can live the dream life. Step number 2 is to increase your income. Now, first one was saving 10%, paying yourself first. This one is now increase your income. Now, that could be where you increase your income by getting a raise. Obviously, that's increasing your income. But what about starting a business or getting a second job or figuring out a way to make money driving for Uber or Lyft or something like that? Getting out of your shell of saying, I just work one job and this is all I do. Maybe you need to sacrifice a little more of your time, your effort, your energy to get another job or do something else to make more money, because in the long run, it's actually going to pay off so much more because you have more money to invest. Now, what's sad is, again, we are taught to be poor. We're taught to be employees. We're not taught to have the ability to fend for ourselves and make our own money and be financially independent. Now, what we want to do is, with increasing your income, is educate ourselves. When we were young, we went to school to learn different subjects, but now that we're older, we can choose which subjects we want to learn. The poor, they really don't educate themselves or continue to educate themselves, but rather they just work one job day in and day out in the same place for their entire life. Self-education and continuing your own education, those are the keys to success in life and wealth in your future. So by educating yourself with different ways to increase your income, you're going to be that much further ahead than everybody else. Now, as you educate yourself more, you become more even wiser, you become more skillful, you're able to reach higher heights and go beyond your natural limit because you've extended yourself past than you normally would. Now, when you start to increase your abilities, you should put them to good work, to good use. Do this by applying your skills in ways that help you make more money, earn more money. All that more money that you're going to be making will be put to an investment property in the future. Now, there is something that you need to watch out for as you start to increase your income and your earning potential. The tempting thing to do is to really start to increase your standard of living as your income rises. The mentality of a poor person is to immediately spend any money they receive and they get a raise from their boss. They let me just go buy something new. They buy a new car, a bigger house, bigger luxury items. These are the desires that they have, but not like us. We don't do that. We keep our standard of living so that the money that we make can grow even bigger so that we can buy more properties. And in the future, when we are successful and employed, that's when we can buy the cars. That's when we can buy the bigger houses and all the luxuries. It's sacrificing now so we can live the crazy, great, rich life in the future. So don't think like the poor people. You want to think like rich and have their mentality to use the increase in your income to purchase more investments, more things that make you more money. And what is terrific is I save my money from my properties and then I buy another property that makes me more money. And I save that money. Then I buy another property that makes me more money, and I save that money. Then I buy another property and I save that money, and then I make more money. So over and over again, if you keep implementing this by buying property after property, you are going to become successful. Now, here's a quick tip I wanted to give you. Now, to help get you out of the rut of, hey, my income's going up, let me think about buying something new. Hey, I want a new car or something like that. If you are thinking about going and buying a car, let's say you wanted to buy a $35,000 car, a $45,000 car, a $55,000 car. One way to do it would be to possibly pay cash or get a loan. Two different ways to do it. Now, let me show you what I do. I would say, right now, I have cash to go out and buy a $35,000 car, but I don't. What I do is I think, okay, what would the rich do? Let me think of a rich way to actually use this money to make me more money and get me the car at the same time. So instead of using my money, my cash, to buy the car, what I do is I use that cash to buy a property. That property brings in $300, $400, $500 a month in passive income. And then that property buys the car for me because I get a loan on the new car that I want. That loan is paid off by the tenants, that passive income. And so over, what is it, 5 years that a normal auto loan is? After 5 years, I have the car paid off by my tenants and I still have the property that I bought with my original money. So you want to be thinking of new ways to get the things that you want, but having other people pay for it. So that's a tip I wanted to give you guys. So again, remember, if you were to do this, your tenants pay off this new car that you got, and you still have the property that's making you money. And if you listen to my past episode where I talk about the 6 ways that rental properties make you money, you're making more money than you could ever dream of. It's absolutely fantastic. So be thinking like the rich do. All right, that brings us to step number 3, or principle number 3, is to control your expenses. Now, the third principle of the rich is to control your expenses because the principle teaches us to live below our means and not overspend. If you're going into debt every single month, you're paying interest and you're digging a hole that you're going to have to eventually climb out of, and it's so much harder. So I have students that have no debt and I have students that have a lot of debt. And I tell you that it's so much more work for the students that have a lot of debt than the ones that don't have debt. So if you can forego, eating out for dinner every, other night or even once a week or once a month, you need to cut your expenses and dial it back so that you're not spending more money than you take in on top of, remember, the first principle, the first step is to pay yourself first 10%. So the key of this is with the first principle of paying your 10%, you don't want to spend more than 90% of your earnings every single month. The only real way to do this is to list out exactly what your expenses are every single month and then cut your expenses it down in order to get 90% of your income, and that's how much you're actually spending. Instead of spending 110% or 120%, you're only spending 90% of your income. Now, in order to have more money in your pocket that you can save for investing, you either need to increase your income, like step number 2, or decrease expenses. Cut your expenses. You can do without for 2, 3, 4 years, maybe 5 years. I went without for like 7 or 8 years. And then when I was about to quit my job, I had plenty of money. I could then do whatever I want and live however I want. Step number 4, principle number 4, buy the home you live in. Now, this principle is about buying your home and not renting it. You're going to be saving so much money. And over time, I know if you get a mortgage, a 30-year mortgage, if you can try to get a 15-year or a 20-year that can get paid off sooner, I would strongly suggest buying the home you live in and working towards where you don't have a mortgage payment, because it is so amazing to never need to pay a mortgage again on your own personal residence. Now, I get plenty of mortgages for my rental properties, don't get me wrong, but those are my rental properties that my tenants pay for. Where I live, I don't want to have to pay for my mortgage or to live there. So I pay off, or I basically don't have a mortgage on my property that I live in. So it's fantastic. All right. Step number 5, principle number 5 is insure a future income. You want to insure it, like basically getting insurance over your business, over your properties, over yourself. You want to get insurance that insures your properties. Now, homeowners insurance, liability insurance, umbrella insurance, I would strongly recommend umbrella insurance on top of that, it's not that expensive. Obviously, it is an expense, but imagine if you had a home that's worth $200,000. Well, it's making you money, but if it burns down and you don't have insurance to pay for it, to build it back up or buy a new house, then you're literally out. So with the beauty of capitalism and the free markets that we have insurance where we can insure a property so that if anything bad did happen, we have the ability for insurance to pay us back or, fix it up or whatever it might be. So if you have a family at all, personal life insurance is also very, very good. I would suggest that you get life insurance on yourself, even if you're not married. Just get it on yourself so that, basically with life insurance, as you get older, it's going to cost more and more. So, if you buy it when you're 25 years old, it's maybe going to cost you, $30 a month for a good amount of insurance. But if you buy it when you're 35, it's going to cost you, $80 to $90 a month. So it's going to just keep going up. So I would strongly suggest getting life insurance. Now, I'm not a life insurance guru or anything like that. I just know I insure myself as well as I insure my business. Step number 6, principle number 6 is make your money work for you. And this is what we talk about in Master Passive Income Podcast all the time, is these principles. And this main one is buying a rental property, buying real estate that your money works for you. Now, if you buy a regular home that you live in, your money is not making you money. Like, you're not getting a tenant in there because you're living in there and you're not making monthly rent. If you buy a car and you drive that car and you don't rent it out, well, that's not making you money. If you buy a painting and you think, hey, I'm going to invest in a painting, well, that might be well and good. Hopefully it'll appreciate, but it's not making you money. You want to put your money in places that's going to make you money. And real estate rental properties is by far and above the best way to make money. Principle number 7. We're moving on to step number 7. Principle number 7 is guard yourself from losing money. What we do as real estate investors, as rich people, we guard ourselves from losing money. And the way we do it, and this is the key, and I'm not going to say it's impossible to lose money investing in real estate, but it's highly improbable, or it's very hard to lose money if you do it right. Here's the key to guard yourself from losing money. It's passive income, monthly cash flow that goes in your pocket. Don't invest for appreciation. Don't buy a property thinking, I'm going to flip the property. Don't think, well, I'm going to get good tax benefits. No, we solely invest for monthly cash flow. That's how we live and not have a job and not need a job. All those other things are great. They come with the business of investing in real estate. What we invest for, and we guard ourselves from losing money, is because we invest for passive income. And again, on my show notes page, masterpassiveincome.com/037, I have some formulas, not really formulas, but like examples. Like if you buy a single family home, purchase price $100,000, down payment $20,000, which is 20%, sorry. Your closing costs $2,500. Anyways, I go through a long list. If you have a normal 1-year return, if you put $20,000 down, that's going to be 22% return on your money because you have cash coming in from monthly rents. Anyways, on the podcast show notes page, I explain it much, much better so you can see all the numbers. You can see how just in 1 year, you can make a 22% return on your $20,000 if you bought a property and you bought it right. Now imagine in a stock market getting 22% on a stock. You're never going to get that. I mean, I'm going to easily say you're never going to get that unless you're Warren Buffett or something like that. In 1 year, getting 22% is crazy. You'd be lucky if you get that. So this is just one way, and that's just with your passive income. Okay, moving on. That was principle number 7. Guard yourself from losing money, and that is by buying properties for passive income. Now, your next and last principle number 8, or step number 8 for you to become wealthy and rich. I think this step is one of the most important steps outside of all the other ones. Now, all the other ones are fantastic, but if you just start with this one step, it will help everything. Now, this is it. And somebody might be thinking, oh man, that's not glamorous. That's not, crazy. That's actually, bad. Well, I'm going to tell you that this is the best one. I have gotten wealthy and rich because of this. Principle number 8, it's better to give than receive. I found the more that I give to other people of my time, of my knowledge, of my money, the more I get in return. The reason why I'm trying to be more, serious about this, because this is really serious. A lot of people think, I'm not going to give my money. I need that money to invest. Well, what's funny is, you didn't have that money, but now you do, and now you think you got to keep it. Well, in my opinion, because I believe in God, I believe everything belongs to God, and I am only blessed to be a good steward, or hopefully a good steward. A steward is somebody that stewards something, that manages something that they don't own. Like all the things I have, all my properties, I personally believe I was blessed by God to help me to acquire them, and I'm being a good steward of His possessions, and He is the one helping me to manage them well, but at the same time, He's the one that takes care of my properties too. If something bad goes happen, hey, I don't own it, God owns it. And so the reason why I'm trying to help you to understand it's better to give than receive is because the more I give of, like I said, my time, my money, my knowledge, my everything, the more I get in return. So the money that we're given from God belongs to God. And again, we're just stewards of it. Now, remember that 10% principle? From the first lesson, I personally believe I want to give 10% to myself, but I also give 10% to God. Now, I know that's going to sound rough. 20% off of all your money is taken out, one to pay you and one to pay God, or, give back to God. That might be rough, but it's a slow way to work into it. It would be maybe start with 2%, 1% to you, 1% to God, then cut back a little more. 2% to you, 2% to God. It could be as easy as, or as little as doing something like that and starting over time of giving 1%. And then raising up to 2%, then raising up to 4% or 5%, eventually getting up to 10% to you and 10% to God. Over time, you're going to realize, I don't even notice that money coming out. I have my expenses the way they are. I'm not overextending myself and I'm not going into debt. So it's not that bad. Now I see my income growing up, and the more I give to God, the more God gives back to me. Now, you may be somebody that doesn't believe in God, which totally fine. I'm not here to pressure you into believing in God, but I found that people that don't believe in God, that also they might say it's karma, which I don't believe it's karma, but they might say it's karma that, whatever amount of positive pressure you put on the world, in a good way, you get that amount of good positive pressure back to yourself, or, karma, whatever, is good that you put out comes back to you. Very, very similar thing, because, I believe God created everything. God created all the laws of nature, and that's what happens. The more you give, the more you will receive. And honestly, as I've implemented this into my life, where, from the very beginning, when I didn't have anything, I was giving 10% of my money to God. I saw where I didn't need anything. I thought, man, this is going to be hard to give 10% this month. I still gave, and I was still blessed. I had enough money to cover for everything. So, you guys, even if you might be thinking, hey, 10% giving away to somebody else or giving to church or giving to social, groups or, giving to the homeless or whatever it might be, just giving away 10%, trust me, and I'm being very, very serious on this. Trust me, by giving 10% or giving away money, number one, you will feel better. You will feel like, man, I'm helping other people. And this is why I do this podcast. This is why I have my books. This is why I have, I don't make much money on really the books. I make like 5 cents on the books. It's not about that. It's about helping other people. On my podcast, I don't make any money on my podcast. Obviously, it's free. You're getting it for free. I don't make money. I want to help other people. I find the more I give, the more I get in return. Even if it's not money. I just feel so much better the more students that I have that I'm helping. Like one student just recently, I was emailing him and said, "Hey, you know what? Send me. I'm not. You're not going to pay. I'm not going to ask you to pay for coaching right now, but send me a couple properties that you're looking at. I'll analyze them with you and show you and tell you what I think. I'll just help you out. I'm not asking for money. I just want to help out. And so, the more you give, the more you get back. So it's better to give than receive. Okay, so let me quickly go through all 8 steps one more time. So number 1 is pay yourself first. Remember, 10% off the top is going in your pocket to save for investing in rental properties. Number 2, increase your income. Go drive for Uber, on the weekends, or, do something like that where you make more money, that you could save more money. Number 3, control your expenses. Make sure that you lower the expenses so that you can save 10% of your money. And obviously we know about step number 8, where you can have 10% you can give to God. Number 4, or give to God or give to whoever you want, or basically give it away. Principle number 4, buy the home you live in. Make sure that you are not renting the property. You are owning the property. So buy the home you live in. Principle number 5, insure your future income. So make sure you put insurance on your property, put insurance on yourself, put umbrella insurance over everything, insure everything. Number 6, make your money work for you. Put your money in things that do not just suck money away, like a boat or a new car or something like that. Buy properties that make you money. Principle number 7, guard yourself from losing money. Guard yourself from losing money. And this is how you do it. You buy for passive income, monthly cash flow that goes in your pocket every single month, not coming out. So guard yourself from losing money by buying for cash flow. Principle number 8, it's better to give than receive. You want to give money so that you are blessed in return. And that is it for today. Go ahead and get my free real estate investing course. Text the word rental to 33777. RENTAL to 33777. You can also join my Real Estate Wealth Builders group coaching. Get all my courses. All right, guys, we'll see you in the next show. See ya.